You gonna eat this? And what did your boyfriend say when you told him you're moving to Sherwood, Ohio? Answer him, Dick. Hey, Ram, doesn't this cafeteria have a no fags allowed rule?
Oh, yeah. They seem to have an open door policy for assholes, though, don't they?
What did you say, dickhead?
I'll repeat myself.
So, here we are talking again about bullying. Now, there was an incident in Mission where some girl was getting beat up by two different girls.
The video is very disturbing. It shows two girls kicking and punching another girl outside a Co-Heritage Park Middle School in Mission.
This is kind of mean. You guys are so mean.
There was a guy, like a kid, in the background saying, to kick her head in, I'll give you $10 or something. This made me feel really, really bad, really sick to watch this. When I first saw it, I just turned the channel to Global News, and I just assumed this is somewhere else in Canada, maybe even the States. That's just what I thought. And I was like, well, it's the first story, so it's got to be Canadian. But then Mission, I was like, wow. I was just surprised, obviously, to have it be right where you're living at a high school. People talk about the parents, and that's people that have let these kids get away with bad attitudes. We can't cure it. There's no cure for this. There are only treatments and ways to help alleviate it. A lot of people don't understand what happens. You think it's a small individual event, right? It's like the chain reaction, the spread of a virus. It's like a virus in itself. See, this person now changes. They in turn affect people around them like their family. Their mood starts to change. Maybe their grades go down. They start retaliating to their little sister or their brother. Maybe they develop these ideas, at the age of 11, 12, 13 to maybe kick their animal one day, because there are kids that are mean to their animals. That usually happens around the age of 11 or 12 whenever kids who do stuff like that. I've read that in psychology books.
Go back.
Getting the kids prepared, right? You say, hey, you got to learn to fight back. You got to learn to stand up for yourself. I'm probably the worst motivational speaker on this. But what I do know is about being bullied firsthand, actually. In my case, I never really wanted to talk about this because I just sort of put myself there, and I said, the way she's not even fighting back here, like, what thrill is there? What is bullying to you? Bullying is about control and power. If you want control, take control of yourself and your own life, not someone else's. Well, they're younger kids, but they don't realize how much negative effect this can have on people, controlling them like that. They don't really have the right to do that. They don't. Now, I was bullied in school, of course. In grade 1, in the first grade, kindergarten as well, I had a disease called legs Perthes. I had a disease of my hip. I couldn't really walk. It's sort of like the hip is displaced. Almost like it's dislocated, but it's a disease. It's something where it's not growing together properly. And what they did was they had to shift it. My legs have to get spread like really wide. They put these casts on me, and then for whatever reason they put two pieces of a hockey stick with cast around it. I gotta get some pictures of this if I can find them. It's gonna be difficult. And so I couldn't walk, right? They probably arranged some kind of wheelchair thing, but apparently I guess I couldn't. I didn't wanna accept that because I was such a hyper child. I remember a buggy that we had, like a big baby buggy, and I used to ride in that when we went for walks and stuff. But in around the house, the backyard, and even in school, I would like crawl. I know, it's like right out of a Stephen King show, but it's true. Definitely kids laughed at me. Like, I was going up the hall once, and there was these older kids standing there, and this one kid was like, hey, wow, look at this kid. Oh my God, look at this kid. There are going to be kids that do that, but you expect someone to come in right at that moment nowadays and be like, shh, or hey, you can't say that, and you know what I mean? Of course, things were still like that back then, but way less than now. Way, way less. They didn't have the same banners and the pink shirt days and all those kind of things. There are days for all this stuff now. And yet here it is. That's why I say bullying's never really going to go away. I got out of those things and I got these braces, kind of like in the movie Forrest Gump. So if you watch how awkward it is for him in Forrest Gump, my situation was literally worse. And I got picked on when I went to West Heights Elementary School right off the bat. There was a day where a few kids, and this group of kids attacked me. There were 2 or 3 of them that got the idea, right? The ringleaders, they're the influencers. They're the Instagram influencers of back then. And they were chasing me around, pushing me and hitting me. And I had no defense whatsoever. There were teachers occasionally, like you'd see a teacher out, and I remember saying, teacher, teacher, like I was like yelling. But I mean, I wasn't really yelling, I was trying to, but I was so shy back then. I think my voice was just really soft, and I couldn't get myself to express myself correctly, and I was so scared, I couldn't really do anything. And these kids were just laughing and just like chasing after me. And, it was brutal. Then, of course, the next day I saw them playing football, so I took their football and I threw it away. And, well, that didn't help very much because the exact same thing happened again, except this time they chased me and cornered me against a fence. So if you're on Wren Street, if you know Mission, it's a little different now. They've redone it. But basically, there's the fence there and the soccer field right in the front part of West Heights. So that area right there, I was cornered right there, and there was a kid, and he kicked me right in between the legs, which was an easy target considering my situation. And I remember crying and falling down, and it was horrible. I figured, after telling my parents and whatnot, my mom reaming out teachers and them, like baby stepping from there, like, okay, this is wrong, we have to talk about this. This is one of many, many millions of incidents that happened over time in our history that led to the world we live in now. I got really angry, though. I was so angry about it. I didn't know what to do. I was too young to understand that, but I was getting it. It was developing in my mind. I was like developing this other side to my personality, because the good side always stayed. I've always been a good person. It's just that good side is, a side that can turn, like anyone, of course, when you're pushed. Like kids like that, if they're not parented or like monitored properly in a situation like that, they can become absolutely animals. Like even 12 and 13-year-olds are pretty bad, but we're talking literally 5 and 6-year-olds.
Cobra.
And it made me think, like, when I was watching this girl, like what she is supposed to do. There's the learning to fight for yourself, the karate classes. Hey, Karate Kid's great. Watch that stuff. Even just watching it, Cobra Kai, that's inspirational. I mean, do I want to say, like, go out and get revenge? I mean, it sounds so wrong. Like being prepared for yourself, or the parents. I saw comments on the Mission B.C. neighbors. One person was saying, hey, I'll fight this guy's dad, or fight one of these kids' dads right now. That's like the stupidest thing. We don't know if their dads are good or bad, because what? Statistics say that 75% of the time the bullying starts at home. Well, that means that there must be responsible, because 25% doesn't count. Katy Perry was a devout Christian, and she became this rebellious slut. She's not a slut. She's just... whatever. I can't think of any way to finish that sentence. I always liked Lady Gaga better myself. From a musical and artistic standpoint. That's like the reverse psychology. You try to raise them in this way, but they're going to go right against it. So you can't just automatically say that it's the parent. This dad could be some devout Catholic, for all you know. You need to have the information. Take care of these people with extreme prejudice. I found these people like one by one. I remember like this one kid who was one of the bullies. He was walking home. He was one of the first kids. I was out there early in the hallway waiting to go home for lunch, and I saw this kid getting a head start. I came from behind him. I grabbed his head and just smashed it into the wall as hard as I can, and he just dropped. There was this one kid. He was the one that kicked me between the legs. He was public enemy number 1. I beat that kid up like 2 times. I remember it. But in grade 5, so 4 years later, I came back to Mission from Castlegar, B.C. on an Easter holiday. I just walked right over to him and said, hey, what's up? It was right by JJ's store on Hurd Street. So this is a long time ago when I was in the 5th grade. I walked up to him, I punched him several times in the head, then I grabbed his face and drove it into my knee as hard as I could. I got revenge, and I thought it was the right thing to do, but I think some people can go excessive. They can become the bully themselves. And there was this new kid. He was a fatter kid. Me being more popular at this stage, several years down the road, I was with some kids, and we decided to start pushing him around on the swing set and hitting him and stuff. This is beyond the 2 wrongs don't make a right, because this guy never did anything to me, other than be some kid that I once was. It just shows how it's how easy it is to get on board there after you've been pushed yourself, how the violence is so addictive. And now you're doing it yourself. And you didn't realize a long time ago, you said, I'm not going to do that. I'll never do that. You're 12 years old and you're saying, I'll never smoke weed. Then you're 17 and you're saying, I might not smoke meth. That kid, we bullied. I don't even remember exactly what happened to him. I mean, he was around, and then there was this one day, and this is true, this is not exaggerated, I was walking home, I was like the first kid, here's that first kid thing again, I was the first kid out for lunch, out of West Heights School, heading to Wren Street, out the doors there. This kid, I barely even saw him, came running across, like a drive-by, but a running by, and whipped the rock at point-blank range. I don't know how he was so accurate with this. He must have trained this with his father in the backyard, who's probably in the CIA, like some black ops member. And he hit me square in the nose, blood everywhere. I remember it didn't feel very good, and I remember seeing just like that little glimpse. It was that same fat kid we bullied. So there's the other side of things. That's another thing. Like, don't these kids watch the school shooter things? And I really strongly urge, if anyone is watching this who has any anger pent up, to never go that far, especially if you live in the States, because that's where it happens. It's bad enough what happened at the Capitol building. I mean, you have to understand, we have to learn to be more fair about things. You have to learn to be more fair. Bullying, right? There's a documentary about it. I've never really seen it. People should watch that. There's another movie by the same name, Bully 2001. That's a little different. That's about bullying within friends, like a relationship, a friend. But regardless of all that, they gather these people to get revenge on him. And they think because of what he's done, it's right. And it almost is. He did some pretty bad things. But at the end, spoiler alert.
So who else has a weapon? Still got that knife?
Yeah.
So get it out. You plan on doing anything?
Fucking right.
So what? So what do you want us to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
I want to smoke her dead now.
All right, I understand that. Well, here's what I think we should do.
When they're all falling apart and turning on each other and they're going to go to jail in Florida, remember, not BC. So, and at this stage, they had the electric chair back then still. Yeah, they were facing some pretty bad crimes, some serious time, and it didn't matter anymore about this kid. What good was that now that they were, in that kind of trouble? So remember that. There's a movie called, Heathers, I was just watching. A little different. Kristen Slater plays this character. Now, this has everything, like bullying, gun violence, it has bulimia, suicide. Kristen Slater's been moved around his whole life. He's never had a chance to develop proper friendships and relationships in school. He talks about being unliked, and he's always had to deal with people, like you see in the very beginning when the jocks come up to him and what happens next. There was this one kid. He was one of the smarter kids in school. He was always a smart kid, but he was one of the head bullies. I think what happened is through talking with his parents. See, I think he had good parents. I think that he was one of the kids that came to his senses, and we became good friends. He was even at some of my birthday parties. I think he realized he may have been lured in by other people and just the group mentality. Try to get yourself in a way that you can talk and you can make people feel that maybe you're not worth beating up, that maybe you have things to say and things to do and things to offer to them.
What a terrific audience. People sometimes ask me, are you angry at God for making disabled people? I say, no, I think the world is better with President Bush.
What a brave little boy. He's able to use comedy to overcome his handicap. I love him.
But no, Seinfeld talked about using success, like not attacking people that are haters, but using your own success. So once they see you, because that's what they're looking at you as. They're looking at you like you're inferior to them. I remember Matthew McConaughey in that movie. There's kind of a bullying situation. It was what was that movie? It was like Matthew McConaughey's first movie. I'll just put on a caption or something. I can't remember right now. But in that movie, he's one of the popular kids, and he's kind of chill. Like, he doesn't join in. There's a bullying scene, and he doesn't join in on that, right? He's like, all right, hey, just relax. These guys are all right. Let's throw a football around. Hey, you want to eat some apples? I got some apples. All right. I'm Matthew McConaughey. It was hard to watch that video, though. Like I said, she gets kicked in the head. That's so mean. Remember that you might be afraid of them, but these are still young kids. You know, these are still like 12, 13-year-olds, right? Like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until you get hit. I hope everything gets a little better. It's just not. There are no happy endings to this one. It stays like this, and it's going to happen again. Just hopefully we can... Because they find... There are certain people they find who's they believe is inferior, and they go after them, and they exploit them. That's what they do.